I'm Jay Elias, General Legal Counsel at Dyer-Lake Funeral Home in North Attleboro. Welcome to this episode of Live and Learn, a series of programs designed to be informative, educational, and upbeat, and always intended to enhance and encourage our personal wellness and awareness. As I drove to work one morning, thinking about some possible topics for these Live and Learn programs, I passed by a large billboard along the highway showing the estimated jackpots for the upcoming Powerball and Mega Millions lotteries. Both were in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and of course I, and probably several thousand other people driving by that billboard that same day, thought, wouldn't it be great if I were lucky enough to win that kind of money? And that prompted a series of thoughts. The first thing that came to mind was that the odds of winning big had to have been at least 1 in several hundred million, which immediately triggered the thought of what they often say on the ads for the lottery. You can't win if you don't play. Of course, I hadn't bought a ticket for either lottery, so that increased the odds of my winning from 1 in several hundred million to about, 1 in it's not going to happen. But it did get me thinking about luck and coincidences and something called serendipity. Before I reached the office, I had the framework for a program, but sadly I wasn't any closer to winning the lottery. Let's talk about luck. You might say that if you found a $20 bill on the ground, you had good luck, but if a gust of wind blew away that newfound $20 just as you pulled it out of your pocket, well, I suppose you could say you had bad luck. There are times in your life when everything seems to go right and times when everything seems to go wrong. And we all know people who just seem to have better luck than others. Maybe they've stumbled upon some great and lucrative idea, or they've been blessed with positive relationships, or they received an inheritance from a long-forgotten relative. And we all know others who just can't seem to catch a break. They're on their way to an important meeting or event and their car breaks down, or they walk into a room and a button pops off. Some people believe that luck is purely a matter of chance, like rolling a pair of dice, and that it's a force of some kind that causes things to simply happen, but not as a result of our own efforts or abilities. To some people, luck is a random occurrence that operates either for or against us. And we wish people good luck all the time, whether it's for a test or as they embark on some new endeavor or adventure. And we often ask for it in return, as in, here goes, wish me luck. But does luck really exist, or is it in the mind of the beholder? Do we simply subjectively perceive ourselves to be lucky or unlucky? Can luck be quantified? What you may say is good luck may seem uneventfully commonplace to someone else. Finding a penny on the sidewalk may seem like good luck to one person, but not worthy of another's thought, even for a moment. It does seem that whether you think of yourself as lucky or unlucky, it has an impact on how you think and behave. And it's said that it can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think I'm a lucky person, therefore I am. So in that sense, luck does seem to exist. And if that's the case, are some people luckier than others? Or along those same lines of thinking, do they just think of themselves as being luckier than others? One British psychology professor and author by the name of Richard Weissman set out to see how chance encounters come about and the impact they have on people's lives. He did so by first exploring some of the apparent more objective differences between self-professed lucky and unlucky people. Again, though, the starting point was subjective. How did people view themselves? That is, lucky or unlucky? What he found was that those who considered themselves to be lucky scored significantly higher on extroversion, being extroverted. It seems they smiled twice as often and engaged in more eye contact than those who thought of themselves as being unlucky. As they met more people, connected more with others, and established and maintained relationships, their sociability helped to increase their likelihood of positive or lucky opportunities coming their way. On the other hand, those who thought of themselves as being unlucky might miss out on positive prospects in life because they're too worried about almost everything in their lives, and they tend to develop a kind of tunnel vision, missing potential personal and professional opportunities. Because they tend to interact with far fewer people, they tend to lose out on engaging with interesting people who may in turn enhance their lives and provide new opportunities that could come their way. It seems that lucky people also tend to be open to new experiences. They're more willing to travel to new places, try new things, be receptive to the possibility of positive opportunity and good fortune. It's a bit like that lottery slogan, you can't win if you don't play. Here's an interesting experiment from that same British psychologist. He gave study participants a newspaper and asked them to count the number of photographs inside the paper. Those who consider themselves unlucky took about 2 minutes to count the photos, and they weren't always right in the number, while those who thought of themselves as lucky took only seconds and were almost universally accurate. How's that possible? Well, it's not that lucky people can read or count faster than those who think of themselves as unlucky. It seems the answer lies in finding that lucky people are more open to seeing and receiving information than are unlucky folks, who may be so intensely focused on the task at hand and so worried that they're just not as aware of what's going on around them. They're closed off rather than open-minded. So it seems that although all of the study participants were told to count the number of photographs in the newspaper they were given, and they were all given the same edition of the paper, on the second page of that newspaper was a large printed message that read, "Stop counting. There are 43 photographs in this newspaper." Couldn't have been more clear. Here's your answer. 43 photos. No need to keep counting. Those who thought of themselves as unlucky, though, tended to miss the message. They were too busy focused on the task at hand only, while lucky people spotted it right away because they were simply more observant and open-minded. If you're one of those who think of yourself as being unlucky, can you increase your luck? It's been said that optimists endure the same storms in life as pessimists. It's just that they weather them better and emerge from them better off. The same has been said about luck. To see if unlucky people could turn their luck around, one research study enrolled participants in a luck school, where they were put through a series of exercises intended to increase their luck. After just a month of enrollment, 80% of those participants reported feeling happier, more satisfied with their lives, and more importantly, luckier. It seems they'd been taught how to spot good opportunities, how to have a more positive outlook, how to make better decisions, again, by trusting their internal barometers, their gut feelings. Those luck school participants were taught to keep an open mind and open eyes. Always look around for new opportunities to increase their chances at good luck, and to look on the positive side of things whenever possible, and to do things that were out of the ordinary in their lives, stepping outside of their comfort zone, no matter how trivial it may seem. It apparently increases the likelihood of getting that lucky break. And consider this interesting finding from another research study. On the one hand, a majority of people attribute someone else's fortunes to good luck, but consider their own misfortunes as being due to bad luck. While it may be that luck is believing you're lucky, as the American playwright Tennessee Williams once wrote, people around the world have for ages tried to boost their good fortunes with talismans, charms, rituals of all kinds. In almost every culture through history, people have relied on rituals or charms of some kind to improve their lot in life and to help them deal with uncertainties in life. Ancient Romans believed in the power of pendants and other charms. Wind chimes hung from doorways and windows, rustled by the breeze, creating jingling sounds believed to ward off bad spirits and to bring good fortune to the household. And during medieval times, fire was one of life's main essentials, used to cook and heat the home. But without properly maintained chimneys, homeowners were frequently at risk of carbon monoxide poisoning. Enter the chimney sweep, who could keep a fire going while reducing the chances of carbon monoxide poisoning. And in Britain, chimney sweeps have long been considered to bring good luck. The fact that they could balance and dance precariously on rooftops, dangle down chimneys, caused passer-byers to watch them, thinking there must be a healthy dose of good luck, protecting them from falling. And during the 1700s, it's believed a chimney sweep actually saved the life of King George II by stopping his runaway horse and carriage. And so, they say, the king issued a royal decree that chimney sweeps brought good luck and should be treated with the greatest of respect. And one of the most common symbols of luck, horseshoes, were first considered lucky by blacksmiths. Some believed that fire and iron had magical powers and would ward off spirits of the past. And while many agree that the horseshoe is, in fact, lucky, there are divergent opinions as to how to hang on to that luck. Some hang their horseshoe prong side up, like the letter U, so the luck stays in the cup to protect the home or barn where it hangs, while others hang it heel side up, so that all the good luck flows out to those who pass under it. And have you ever heard, find a penny, pick it up? All day long, you'll have good luck. According to some folklore, ancient cultures believed that metals, especially copper, were precious gifts from the gods, would bring you good luck when found, and had the power to protect you from evil spirits. There's also the theory that the universe provides an endless battleground of good and evil. That is, if one thing's good, the other must be bad. And so if one side of a penny brings good luck, the other side must bring bad. And that, it's been said, is where we get heads up for luck and tails down for bad luck when finding an errant penny. The color green is often said to be the luckiest hue. It's a symbol of positive change, health, growth, and vitality. And in Irish folklore, if you catch a green-clad leprechaun, then set him free, you'll be blessed with treasure. And speaking of leprechauns and lucky charms, I'd be remiss not to mention another kind of lucky charm, the widely popular breakfast cereal. General Mills first debuted Lucky Charms cereal in 1964 with bells, fish, arrowheads, clovers, and X-shaped oat pieces, alongside marshmallows shaped like green clovers, pink hearts, orange stars, and yellow moons. The cereal's primary product developer created the original prototype by experimenting with Cheerios cereal pieces and chopped up pieces of his favorite candy, those circus peanuts. And Lucky the Leprechaun, well, he debuted on St. Patrick's Day, 1964, along with full-color print ads in Sunday comics and comic books everywhere. Soon the cereal was updated with a touch, well, maybe more than a touch, of sweetness with a sugar frosting. Most famous, though, are what the cereal maker calls those Marbits, the marshmallow bits. Over 40 different Marbits have been introduced over the years. And the only remaining original Marbit? The pink heart. And there's luck, and then there are coincidences. There are many definitions of coincidence. One of them is that it's a surprising concurrence of events, perceived as meaningful related, but never with any apparent causal connection. I think we can safely say that coincidences can be thought of as random occurrences that bring two or more related incidents together. And for it to be a coincidence, it can't have been expected. It's been said that coincidence, for example, is what happens when your two boyfriends head for your house at the same time. Luck, on the other hand, is what happens when one of their cars won't start. Coincidences can be life-changing or comforting, as when a loved one's favorite song comes on the radio, just when you're thinking about them. Researchers who have studied the subject of coincidences are divided over their significance. Some believe they suggest a deep connection between our minds and the material world that just cannot be explained by modern science. We humans tend to like patterns in our life. They help us understand and explain the many uncertainties around us. We look for patterns everywhere, and by noticing and analyzing them, we can strive to better understand our world and to some small degree control it. We try, often subconsciously, to see a pattern in a coincidence so that we can tell ourselves that there's no way something was just a chance event. And yet others see coincidences as pure mathematical probabilities, akin to what's been called the infinite monkey theorem. The notion of that theory is coincidences are a bit like what happens when an infinite number of monkeys randomly hit keys on typewriters over an infinite amount of time. They will eventually, through coincidence and happenstance alone, produce the complete works of William Shakespeare. Let's get back to the lottery for a moment, this time with regard to coincidences. We know the odds of winning a nationwide lottery like Powerball are greater than 1 in 100 million. So the odds of winning that lottery twice are even greater. But if you consider the number of people who play the lottery and the number of times they buy tickets, then it becomes likely that someone somewhere will win at least twice. And in fact, several people have done just that. It's been called the law of truly large numbers. It's when you take something that has a very small chance of happening and you give it lots and lots of opportunities to happen, and then the overall probability becomes quite large. By the way, some studies suggest that most people actually notice about one coincidence a week. It's also been said that the term coincidence became a household word in American English following the simultaneous deaths of Thomas Jefferson and John Adams. When the Continental Congress convened in 1775 in Philadelphia, Jefferson and Adams became fast friends. They worked together to draft the Declaration of Independence and spent time together as diplomats in Europe for the new United States. Although their relationship was estranged for many years afterwards, they reconciled, prompting a remarkable correspondence between them that lasted for nearly 15 years. Coincidence? Jefferson and Adams died hours apart on the very same day, the 50th anniversary of American independence, July 4, 1826. 83-year-old Jefferson passed away at his Virginia estate, Monticello, while 90-year-old Adams died that same day in Quincy, Massachusetts. And here's another interesting coincidence, a little more modern. Actor Anthony Hopkins, well known for his role as the psychiatrist in the 1991 movie The Silence of the Lambs, starred in a film in 1974 called The Girl from Petrovka. The movie was based on a novel by the author George Pfeiffer. Not long after signing on to star in the film, Hopkins went to London to track down a copy of the book. After searching several bookshops in vain, he was unable to find even a single copy of the book, and frustrated, he entered a train station near London to board a train home when, coincidentally, remarkably, he spotted a copy of the book sitting on a bench. It was clear the book had been left behind, so he took it. That's a coincidence. But the story doesn't end there. 2 years later, the film was being shot in Vienna, and the book's author, Pfeiffer, visited the movie set. During a conversation with Anthony Hopkins on the set, the author told Hopkins that he didn't even own a copy of his own book any longer. He told Hopkins he'd lent it to a friend, his last copy, complete with all of his handwritten notes. And the friend, well, they lost the book somewhere in London. Hopkins went, retrieved his copy of the book, handwritten notes and all, and when he showed it to the author, Pfeiffer confirmed it was his own original copy. Another quick U-turn about lotteries, luck, and coincidence. June 1980, Maureen Wilcox bought tickets for both the Massachusetts State Lottery at the time and the Rhode Island Lottery at the time. Incredibly, she managed to choose the winning numbers for both lotteries. The only problem was the numbers she chose for the Massachusetts Lottery were the winning numbers for the Rhode Island Lottery. And the numbers she chose for the Rhode Island Lottery were the winning numbers for the Massachusetts Lottery. The end result, she didn't win a penny. Consider that bad luck and an unfortunate coincidence, both. Okay, one last lottery story, I promise. Joan Ginther won the lottery. in Texas. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, 4 times. In 1993, she won more than $5 million. 13 years later, she won another $2 million in the Texas lottery. A few years later, she won $3 million. And in 2010, she won another $10 million. That's more than $20 million in total. What are the odds of one person winning the lottery 4 times? Well, the answer? Apparently, they're about 18 septillion to 1 against it happening. 18 septillion. A septillion, by the way, is 1 followed by 24 zeros. It's almost incomprehensible. Talk about good luck. Talk about coincidence. Maybe something more. As many people know, the lottery isn't always a pure game of chance. Sometimes it takes a bit of smarts to game the system. And in Joan Ginther's case, it's been widely reported that it may have been a combination of good lucks, smarts, and possibly a smattering of fraud or cheating. The last 2 big winning scratch-off tickets she bought were from the same convenience store in her hometown in Texas, which was actually shut down by the IRS following an investigation of Ginther and the store's owner, a friend of hers. Couple that with the fact that Ginther was once a university professor with a PhD in statistics from Stanford University and was widely reported to have used publicly available information to look for patterns that could lead her to figure out the maybe not so random computer algorithms that determined when and where lottery tickets in each packet were arriving at particular convenience stores. That's the winning lottery tickets. And we've all had it happen, a series of signs or events too thought-provoking or emotionally touching to be just plain coincidence. And Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, called those synchronicity, a meaningful coincidence, what happens in the world external to you mirroring something that's happening in your internal world. It's when you're cleaning out a drawer and come across a photo of an old friend you haven't spoken to in ages, and days later, you get a phone call from them. Many believe that coincidences, known as synchronicities, are really just the result of something called confirmation bias. That is, things that we encounter confirming our already held belief. Think of it as being the reason why, after, say, researching something that you're considering buying, like a particular color car you swear you'd never seen before going to the car dealership, and then you start seeing that same color car every time you're driving on the road. Skeptics say it's due to our natural tendency to remember the hits and forget the many misses in our life. Confirmation bias. It's what causes you to be more likely to remember the butterfly in your yard on the day of a loved one's passing or funeral, more so than remembering all the other times you've seen butterflies before. And although the feeling of synchronicity is different for everyone, there are a few common forms of synchronicity that are often identified, like seeing repeated numbers. Have you ever looked at the clock on one day, turns out to be the exact time, 12:34 p.m., and a week later you just glance at the clock, 12:34 p.m.? They call that synchronicity. All of which brings us to serendipity, one of my favorite words in the English language, serendipity. Those happy accidents that tend to rely on the intersection of wisdom and chance to accidentally find something of interest or value. It's good luck in finding valuable things unintentionally. It's been said that the key to serendipity is first believing that serendipity, is all around us. We just need to finally hone our observational skills, because it's more than just paying greater attention to our surroundings. It's thinking about how we notice things around us as they relate to our life. Suspending judgment has been said to be another key factor in serendipity, because that requires expanding how we've customarily been used to thinking. It's learning to think outside the box and keeping an open mind that the things we come across in our daily lives may actually be somehow important. In 1928, British researcher Alexander Fleming was studying influenza when one of his culture petri plates became contaminated, and it developed a mold that itself created a bacteria-free circle in it. He recognized the possible significance of that bacteria-free circle, and by isolating the mold in its own pure culture, he found what he called penicillin. Others call it serendipity. Percy Spencer was an engineer at the Raytheon Corporation, known to be something of an electronics genius. In 1945, he was fiddling with a radar-emitting machine called a magnetron when he recognized that the chocolate snack bars he often kept in his pocket were repeatedly melting. Figuring that the radiation from the magnetron was to blame, he immediately set out to realize the culinary potential at work, and the result, through serendipity, the microwave oven. Serendipity was hiding on the sidelines when this next product was invented in San Diego at the Rocket Chemical Company, 1953, as a rust and corrosion prevention solvent for the outer skin of NASA's Atlas missile. It took chemists there 40 attempts to get the water displacing formula right. But the result was well worth it. And when the company learned that people were using the product at home for a host of domestic and very non-missile related uses, they began putting that water displacement solvent into aerosol cans. It first appeared on store shelves in San Diego in 1958, and by the following year, the company had doubled in size and made history again when it was used on NASA's Friendship 7, when astronaut John Glenn circled the Earth. In 1970, the Rocket Chemical Company was renamed WD-40, as in water displacement, and 40 times was the charm until they found the formula. And the word serendipity can also best be used to describe this next story. 1968, Spencer Silver was a scientist working at 3M headquarters, working to create a strong adhesive, when he accidentally developed a new material that was light enough to be easily removed and peel apart. Silver believed he had invented something unique and useful, but he struggled to find what that use could be, spending the next 5 years meeting with others at 3M, trying to find someone who could recognize the unique capabilities of his invention and create a new product with it. Once again, enter serendipity. At the same time, another 3M employee, Art Fry, was growing increasingly frustrated by the bookmarks he made out of scraps of paper that kept falling out of the church hymnal he used while singing in the choir. As he was thinking of ways to make a better bookmark, Silver's not-so-sticky adhesive came to mind as a way to make pieces of paper slightly sticky without adhering permanently. And so Fry realized that the sticky papers would work better as notes, and the product idea was solidified. With the help of a couple of other members of the research team, the two men found a way to make the adhesive attach to one piece of paper. The changes allowed the note to stick to and be removed from other paper, and they called it press and peel. Ultimately, it became Post-it notes. It seems that luck manifests itself in countless different ways throughout the world. So cross your fingers. Knock on wood. Many historians believe that crossed fingers dates to a time when early Christians were widely persecuted in the Roman Empire, and the sign began as a secret way of showing one's faith and recognizing fellow believers, or calling on the sign of the cross for protection. But don't confuse crossing your fingers for good luck with crossing them behind your back when you tell a lie. That ritual may have started as a way of calling on the cross to protect you from being punished for fibbing. And it's been said that the phenomenon of knocking on wood traces its origins to ancient pagan cultures such as the Celts, who believed that spirits and gods resided in trees. Knocking on tree trunks may have served to rouse the spirits and call on their protection, and could also have been a way of showing gratitude for a stroke of good luck. I'm Jay Elias. Thank you for watching this episode of Live and Learn. I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to your joining me again for another program designed to enhance and encourage your personal wellness and awareness. Until then, remember, it's never too late to learn. And as the late General Douglas MacArthur is quoted as saying, "The best luck of all is the luck you make for yourself."